Shut up and sit down.
Welcome back to your regular scheduled programming. No post-game show this time. We are back to a full show on No One Asked Us. I'm Craig Choate. That is the Logan Lee on the screen with me. If you're on YouTube, if you're listening on Apple Podcasts or Spotify Podcasts, wherever you get your podcasts, you're really missing out on our beautiful faces. You
really are. I even showered for this today. So
thank you for joining us. However you are joining us, like I said, we are on YouTube. We put every show, video elements of every show on YouTube. We're also on Apple Podcasts and Spotify Podcasts. Thanks for tuning in for episode 49 here of No One Asked Us. All of our social medias are on the screen, as I said, on YouTube, at Craig W. Choate, at the Logan Lee, at No One Asked Us Pod, also our Gmail account. If you do want to reach out to us, or if you have any critiques for us, any criticisms, we'll gladly take those in the suggestion box known as our Gmail account. Logan, it is a Sunday afternoon recording because we do have the national championship on Monday night, so we're switching things up. It is Sunday, 3:45 Eastern time. We're in the midst of week 18 of the NFL. I got the full scoreboard up here. Some interesting storylines that we might touch on in a little bit, but how's your weekend so far? Got a couple more hours before we have to go back to work tomorrow.
it's been great, Craig. It's been great. I just kind of hung out, watched some football a little bit, and played some video games, and caught up on a couple of movies. Did go see Spider-Man No Way Home for the second time yesterday. Just had a couple friends that hadn't seen it yet and wanted to go experience it with them, and I still had some thoughts on the movie afterwards, but other than that, it was good. I do have something I want to show you, though. I've been holding off on this. I'm pretty excited. I do want to preface this by saying I apologize because I don't have one for you.
I have an idea.
Do you know what this is?
But go ahead.
But I want to know if you know what this is.
Is it a Christmas present from someone?
It is.
Okay. I don't know what it is, but
did somebody reach out to you for something?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Well, a good friend of mine and a mutual acquaintance, at least of yours, Mr. Chris Hagstrom,
yes,
gave me a nice little gift yesterday. It is a coffee mug with our nice logo on it, and it is wonderful. Very, very excited about that. And I apologize again, unless he sent one to you. Maybe he did. I don't know about it. But yeah, very cool. Have our logo on something. The very first item we have, granted, we're not selling this or anything, but
yeah,
our logo is on something, so that's kind of cool. But yeah, got that yesterday. So very cool.
I'm glad you got it yesterday, because the last 2 or 3 episodes I've wanted to ask you what it was.
I haven't seen him.
Chris messaged me early or mid-December asking for the logo, and I got it to him. He said it was for his Christmas present for you, but he didn't tell me what it was, so I didn't ask or anything. So the last 3 or 4 episodes, I've been wanting to be like, "Hey, what did Chris get you?" Because he asked for, but I'm glad I didn't, because it would have piqued it would have spoiled it a little bit. So
no, I appreciate that. It's very cool. Very cool. So thank you to him. Don't know if he's listening to this, but very cool. But yeah, wanted to show that off. So thank you for your assistance, I guess, in that.
We'll
have to get one for you as well, so that you could have a matching pair. Maybe at one point we'll sell our own merchandise. That'd be cool, right?
Merch tent. Go to nooneaskedus.com for
Player's Trunk.
Player's Trunk. Yeah, I love that website, by the way.
So this will be my new water glass from now on. I don't have to use my Dan's glass or whatever else I use. So
I love it. You really look like Boog Shambi right now. I don't know why the mug adds to it, but right now you look like John Shambi.
Probably the hair, it's the whole get up. That's wonderful. Love Boog. So that's great. That's great. How about you? Everything good with you?
Yeah, we're good. Hanging in there. I need to go see No Way Home so we can talk about it. It's going to be delayed a couple weeks now, but
I will tell you, I purchased these tickets for Chris and I and Allison to go earlier this week. We decided we were going to go Saturday, wanted to go to time when there maybe wouldn't be as many people.
Yeah.
Obviously 3 working individuals that work, 8 to 5 jobs. It's hard to go during the week. So I thought, okay, earliest possible showing on a Saturday, Yeah. It's obviously there's going to be people there. It was sold out other than probably like the first row of seats. So
really,
people are still going out to see this movie in bunches. Keep that in mind. But yeah, it's very good. I have enjoyed it both times. I have had some quibbles with it a little bit, and I have expressed those on the internet sphere if you want to go find them. But other than that, it's very enjoyable. You'll enjoy it whenever you get around to it.
Yeah, that tells me that's going to be a couple more weeks before we go, because we're not wanting to sit in a full theater of people. So
I don't really know when to tell you that's going to end unless you're able to both go at noon on a Tuesday.
Yeah,
that's probably going to be your safest.
That's true, because you guys went on a weekend. So
right,
yeah,
we went at 12:30 on a Saturday.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's obviously if you guys could both go during the day during the week, it's one thing. But
true.
But anyway, so yeah.
All right. Let's hop right in. We're already about 5 minutes into this. And we haven't talked about anything on our rundown yet. As we always do, we'll start with moment of the week. Is your mug your moment of the week, Logan?
I think I had something at one point, but yeah, I mean the mug has to be the moment of the week. I don't think I can top it. Well, we've already talked about a lot of Illinois basketball during our post-game shows. And I know already that you're going to talk about something pertaining to Illinois basketball, because that tends to be the theme of a certain individual every time he has a good game. That's your moment of the week. So at this point, you're just taking everything from me. You just well,
you're going first, so you can take it from me.
No, I will leave IO for you. You know what? I'll just go with the general theme of Illinois basketball in general. I think the 2-0 week coming off the pause was really positive to see. And I think that's just really something we can, go into a very important potential week. I'm not sure if that Friday game will get played now, but just it's something to be happy about as we go into this next week of January. I know what your moment of the week is going to be, so just go ahead.
What is it?
Floor. IO.
What about?
It's always IO. His 18 points the night after he's in Champaign.
Not necessarily.
Oh, well, shoot.
It is that game, but it's not his stat line. Yeah, he had a career night that night, but it was him and Bradley Beal.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
So the best part of that night, yes, IO scored 18 points, career high. The best part of that night, though, was post game. I didn't hear the full exchange, but someone asked IO about Bradley Beal, and apparently in the middle of the game, IO had been called for a couple travels, and Bradley Beal, guard for the Washington Wizards, who apparently was really high on the Illini coming out of high school. I guess the Illini were pretty high on his list before he committed and went to play at Florida. Bradley Beal went up to IO and gave him a pointer, like, hey, don't hesitate. Know what you're going to do with the ball before you get the ball. Either rip through, dribble, pull up, rip through, drive, or shoot it. And I was like, oh, okay. So a couple possessions down the floor, IO does that move on Beal. And Beal was like, dude, you weren't supposed to do it on me. I'm just telling you for the future. Don't make me look stupid. But cool. It was really cool. Io said it in the post game, and I didn't hear any of Beal's comments or if anyone asked Beal about it. But it was funny that Bradley Beal, NBA veteran, gave Io some advice, and then just a couple plays later, Io used that advice in Beal's face to hit a pull-up jumper on the baseline. So that was cool. Yes, it was the day after his ceremony in Champaign, which we talked about in our post-game pod. I don't know if we'll talk about it anymore when we get to Illinois basketball, but a good week for IO. Bulls continue to win. They are a couple games up in the East now, and can continue to roll. So there's that. Anything else? Moment of the week you want to mention?
No. I mean, I think just IO in general. I think the jersey raising, the DeRozan thing, DeMar DeRozan showing up at that game. And then as you talked about the Beal thing and the game he just had that following night. I mean, what a 48 hours for that guy. Yeah. So, and then I'm assuming you saw Draymond Green tweets from his tweet from 2 a.m. this morning.
I did criticizing.
Not. You did not see this?
No.
So let me look this up because this is kind of in relation to the IO thing. I can only assume. So Draymond Green, last night at about 2:00 in the morning, I believe. Let me find the tweet. Yeah, this was at 4:40 a.m. I guess his time. I don't know, whatever, sometime in the morning. He said, "I'm not a big suit and tie guy. Wearing a suit doesn't make you smart, nor does it mean you're a good business person. But to all the young brothers out there getting their jerseys retired, dress yourself up. Those pics will live forever. That brand you're wearing won't." I'm not saying that was directly at IO, but that was the most recent, I'm assuming, of all these players that he's referring to. So I can't help but assume that IO might have been a part of what Draymond tweeted out last night. So just thought that was interesting.
Why is Draymond Green tweeting about Io Dosunmu? Okay, I definitely agree with you.
I don't think this was Io was the singular reason for this. I'm going to guess he's referring to other players that have been in similar situations, but the most recent one obviously was Io. So,
wow.
Yeah. And if you go to the replies on this, a lot of people realize what he's talking about. So, yeah, it was pretty much an Io. Let's be honest.
Never been a Draymond Green fan, so he can go kick rocks. Moving on to our question of the week. Last week, we did ask a college football related question. Simply, is Alabama's success / dominance bad for college football? Right now, it's got 92 votes. It still has 1 day left, it says, to vote. So if you haven't voted, you can still vote on it for at least 12 more hours, I think. But right now, 92 votes, 62% of the people say yes, it is bad for college football. 38% say no. That's a little bit bigger of a difference than I thought it was going to be.
Yeah, I agree. It's one of those things where it's hard for me to really say that it's bad for the game of college football.
Yeah.
But I don't think it's good for it either.
Yep.
But I also there's literally nothing you can do about that. Like, Alabama is not doing anything wrong that we're aware of. So I don't know what you change. I mean, there are dynasties in sports. I mean, the Yankees ripped through baseball in the 90s. The Celtics and the Lakers have had their stretches like this. This is not the first time that one singular franchise or organization or program has dominated a sport. It's not like they're winning, it's not like they've won 6 of the last 7 college football championships. They're just consistently playing in the playoff and in the championship game and everything else. So, I mean, nothing's about it's going to change until something happens, whether that's Nick Saban leaves and then they start to teeter off a little bit, or somebody else, takes them down. I mean, everybody has their moments. I mean, Clemson was a clear number 2 for a while. They had a pretty off year this year. Don't know if they'll be back next year or not. Georgia's been pretty solid the last few years, but that's not always the case. So again, I don't necessarily know that it's bad for the game, but I also can't really say that it's good for the game either.
Yeah. Yep. I think it's more bad than good. Just because I think a lot of people are sick of seeing Alabama consistently in the Final Four every year. And how excited people got this year when Michigan got in, Cincinnati got in. Georgia had been in, but they're not Bama, they're not Clemson. So it was somewhat of a new team. But also Bama brings in ratings, which brings in money. So they're not all bad for the sport. But I think it's just more so people are tired of seeing Alabama consistently in the Final Four.
That's what it is, more so than it's bad for it.
I did vote yes because I
did too.
I think it's bad because you need to have other teams. You need to see other teams in that Final Four. So hopefully Saban retires soon and we can get some other coach at Alabama that will not have that kind of success.
Do you think that potential college football playoff expansion, whether that's to 8 or to 12 teams, will change this? Do you think it will? Do you think
Um,
Alabama will continue to be the dominant? Do you think they'll always be in the Final Four / championship game?
I think it's tough. It will be tougher to be as dominant with more teams in a playoff because there's another game or two that you have to stave off the upset.
Right.
There's more chances for you to lose.
Correct.
So
I
think it would help. I definitely think it would help because they could.
I agree.
Alabama in any given year, if they're the ranked number 1 and they play the number 12, if they move to 12 and they play the 12 seed, the 12 seed team could theoretically, if they play good, beat the number 1 seed team. So
yes.
So yeah, I think it will definitely help.
I think it'll help. I agree. I don't know that it necessarily totally solves everything. I still think there's a good chance that if we do expand, that you'll still have the Alabamas, the Ohio States, the Clemsons, the Georgias still playing fairly consistently in the championship game. But as you said, yes, it does give more of a chance for those teams to lose, because I do think Alabama this year they weren't clearly the best team in football all season long. They struggled a couple times. They almost lost to Florida. They did lose to Texas A&M.
Yep.
They, I won't be so shocked. I mean, they're not even the favorite in the championship game. So they were definitely beatable this season. So all it takes is one bad day. But I do think the more thing about the expansion is just giving more teams a chance and getting more fan bases involved and all that stuff. Do I think that's necessarily at the end of the day going to keep it being the same 3 or 4 teams that are constantly playing in the playoff, in the Final Four, or the championship game? No, not necessarily. But I do think it would help.
Yep. I agree. So moving on to this week's question, we're moving to professional football. Simply, who gets your vote for NFL MVP? We took the top 3 odds right now in Vegas: Aaron Rodgers, Tom Brady, Jonathan Taylor, and then for the 4th one, we are going with other. I don't know that there is a realistic other option. I think it's pretty clear cut who's going to win it, but those are the options we are going to give. I don't know when the NFL MVP is announced. Is it announced soon or is it after the playoffs?
I feel like it's after, right?
Is it voted on before but announced after?
I think so.
One of those type of things. I think it's pretty obvious.
February 12th.
Yeah. Okay. So after
the
Super
right
Bowl.
before this,
Yep.
right
before the Super Bowl.
I feel like the Super Bowl's. I don't know. I don't know the dates in front of me.
All right.
But
yep.
It's
February
around the
12th,
Super
we'll
Bowl.
find out. But I think Jonathan Taylor has a great case until today.
The 12th would be the 12th is the Saturday. The Super Bowl would be on the Sunday.
Okay. Day before the Super Bowl. All right. Had the Colts gotten the playoffs and maybe I think Jonathan Taylor might have taken some votes, but I don't think that's going to happen anymore.
No, I think this is Aaron Rodgers to lose. And I don't think he will lose it. Would like to see Jonathan Taylor. Would love to see Cooper Kupp. Honestly, I know that receivers don't win this award.
Yeah.
And I can understand those reasons. And I do think Aaron Rodgers has made a strong enough case for it to not for that to not happen. But I really enjoyed what Cooper Kupp has done this year. He's been on my fantasy team. So that's helped. But I've really been a Cooper Kupp fan for a while. So would like to see that. And I wish this has kind of been a topic of conversation.
It's that FCS blood in him.
There is a little bit of that too. Yes.
Eastern
Washington? Yeah. This was kind of a topic of conversation today because of the voter that was on Chicago radio and basically said, I'm not voting for Aaron Rodgers because of his off the field stuff. And it's become a topic of conversation, but the NFL, how they vote for their MVP is, I would rather see that changed a little bit. I think I would rather see more people have a say and have it, get to vote for, 1 through 5 or whatever it is. Sounds like the NFL MVP is pretty tight knit. It's a very small number and they're only voting for like 1 or 2 or 3 people. Just because I would like to see people like Cooper Kupp and, Jonathan Taylor get more of a shot to get at least some votes here.
It's always a quarterback. I just
Always.
looked it up. The last running back to win it, I think, was Adrian Peterson, like more than 10 years ago.
Yeah.
So yeah, I agree with you there. That's also something that I forgot about when we said this was going to be our question, that guy in Chicago said he wasn't going to vote for Rodgers because of his off the field, but then he clarified and said because someone asked Rodgers about it, and he called that guy a bum and basically said he's not going to vote for me because I'm unvaccinated, and then made some kind of comment about most valuable vaccinated player award, and then the writer said that's not what I was talking about. He was talking about how all offseason Rodgers held the Packers prisoner and like all, that whole thing with the Packers, but still, I don't think off the field should influence votes for a award that's based on your performance on the field. It doesn't make any sense.
I got a trivia question for you.
Okay.
Did you look at all the NFL MVP stuff, or did you just look to see who was most recent?
I mean, it was a list of all MVPs, but I was just looking to see when the last non-QB won it.
So since the year 2000, a non-quarterback has won it 4 times. Do you know who those 4 players are? Since 2000. And one of them we already mentioned is Adrian Petersen.
Adrian Petersen. Did Chris Johnson win?
Nope.
No.
Nope.
Or any defensive?
No, running back.
They're all running backs?
These are all running backs, yes.
Okay.
Sorry, I guess I didn't specify that. Yes, they're all running backs.
They're all running backs. Adrian Petersen did Eddie George?
Nope. I'll tell you, 2 of them happened in back-to-back years.
Sean Alexander?
Sean Alexander won in 2005, and somebody else won in 2006.
Oh man, Jamal Charles?
Nope.
Am I close? Teams? Chiefs?
I mean,
Priest Holmes
sort of
was the other one.
No, you're close in a way, yes, but not that team. This guy was the dominant face of football for a few years.
Oh no, I'm going to be so mad then now that you say that. I don't know.
This guy went affectionately by his initials, is how people referred to him a lot. He was AFC West.
Chargers, Broncos, Raiders. I don't know.
Chargers running back, 2005.
Chargers running back. Oh,
2006.
Tomlinson.
With Damian Tomlinson.
Yeah,
And then the other one was in 2000, and his teammate won
Marshall
this award
Faulk.
the year. His teammate won the award the year before him and the year
Kurt Warner.
after him.
Yeah.
There you go.
Man, making me miss my St. Louis Rams.
Your trivia for the day.
Have you watched American Underdog yet?
No, I haven't.
No,
I haven't. I want to get to it. It just hasn't happened yet.
All right. We'll talk a little more NFL because the first window of games just ended. The last game, well, one game's going to overtime. So we'll get you caught up on playoff scenarios as much as we can later in this show. But let's hop in. For those of you that haven't noticed, we're doing post-game podcasts now for all Illini basketball games. We almost had to postpone our second one.
As many as we can get to. Let's preface this now.
That's what I was going to get to.
There are going to be games that we're not going to be able to do this for.
Yeah.
But we're going to try to do as many of them as we can.
Yeah, we knocked one out Thursday night. It was my booster shot flu game. I was not feeling good all day Thursday. I text Logan, hey, I'm not feeling great, so we might have to postpone our second ever post-game show podcast. But then right about halftime, I started feeling a little bit better, and we got one out for you. But Monday is a holiday, Martin Luther King Day. Illinois does play on Monday. So we might not have one on Monday, the Purdue game. But we're going to try our best to get you post-game instant reaction. I think we both kind of agree that we feel it's better and more off the cuff and more is in our head after each game, as opposed to waiting until Sunday or Monday when we record these shows. And maybe that'll help shorten some of these shows, so we're not on here for an hour and a half talking about games that happened 4 or 5 days ago. So if you haven't listened to those, you can go back on any, it's on the same places that you get this show. You can go back and listen to our post-game podcast immediately following. It takes about a couple hours to get them up and get it edited and all that. But we're going to continue to do that if you want to look to that in the future. But Illinois does go 2-0 on the week. Road win at Minnesota, home win against Maryland. Came back against Maryland in the second half. Shows you how good my memory is. Did they come back against Minnesota or had the lead the whole Minnesota game? That was the blowout.
They controlled that
up
game
big.
from the opening tip. Yeah.
Okay, so two wins, 2-0. They're 11-3 now, 4-0 in the Big Ten, which is huge. A couple game lead over Purdue. Ohio State lost this week, so they are no longer undefeated. So a big week for the Illini, and Logan threw it in as his moment of the week. So not a ton to talk about, but we're a couple of days separated from those games. Has anything changed in your eyes?
No. I mean, I think this team is certainly clicking on all cylinders. We keep mentioning it. Eventually, they're going to get their point guard back, which is, hopefully going to go a long way to improving where they're at even more. They've just been playing really well. So they'll finally start to get some tests coming up here soon. Don't know about Friday. Let's just say that now.
Yeah.
With Michigan's current state of their program, Illinois is supposed to host Michigan on Friday night. So I've not heard anything in regards to that far in advance, but
no.
But sounds like they will at least play Tuesday at Nebraska. So just got to stay healthy. I mean, I think that's going to be the key here. After the Nebraska game, things get a little bit more complicated with Michigan, Purdue, and Michigan State in 3 of their next 4 games. So that's definitely going to be a little tough. And then after that, I mean, you sprinkle in a couple Northwestern and Rutgers and all that stuff, but you're going to get Wisconsin and Indiana and then Purdue again. It's going to get a lot more complicated here real quick. So I'm glad that they've started off as strong as they have. It's definitely going to help some morale and help just have that record. Love to see a 5-0 start to the season. I think that's obviously very doable. I don't want to speak too soon because I've seen Illinois almost lay an egg at Nebraska, and they needed Io DeSumo to get them out of it. So could certainly fall on the road Tuesday night, but I think this team is very capable of starting the Big Ten season 5-0.
Yeah, 100%, no doubt about it. I was going to say basically the same thing you said. I'm crossing my fingers and I'm not saying it's going to happen. I'm not saying he's going to be in uniform on Tuesday, but I just have this feeling that that Curbelo is going to see some minutes Tuesday, because the game at Minnesota, the broadcast said he was running point in practice. That will have been a week since then. I just have a feeling he's going to get 5 to 10 minutes on Tuesday to just get on the court and see how it goes, because this is a game that you can afford to have him out there and see and still be able to win the game.
I agree. This would be the time to do it. So, because as I've said, it's going to get a lot more complicated after this. So you want to see where he's at, get him out there. This is the game to do it. So I'd love to see that. Don't expect him to be in the starting lineup, but would love to see him, as you said, come off the bench, give 5 to 10 minutes, see how it goes. Just roll with it. Because I think if he's ready, this team could definitely use him.
Yeah. Again, that's not us reporting anything, or no one has told us that that's going to happen. That's just me saying, I think this is a good spot to do it if he's capable to do it. Now, if he hasn't been cleared of whatever he's going through, then don't throw him out there. But if he's practicing and running 5-on-5 and he's acting as Minnesota's starting point guard in practice, then let's get him out there in a game and see what happens, because you're going to need him later in the year. So you need to get him back up to where he was preseason by the time March rolls around. So the next game, Tuesday night, 8:30 Eastern, Big Ten Network at Nebraska. Nebraska is the worst team in the Big Ten, 6-10 overall, 0-5 in the Big Ten. They lost just last night. They lost at Rutgers 93-65. They lost at Michigan State by 12. They lost at home to Ohio State by 8 in overtime. That's a game they actually should have won. I remember watching the end of that. They should have won that game. But they are coming off of a blowout loss on the road to Rutgers. Looking at some of their stats here, Bryce McGowan's is their leading scorer. He was a 5-star. He's a 5-star recruit, freshman this year. His brother also on the team, I think. Yeah, Trey McGowan's also on the team, but I think he is out for the year. Actually, I know he's out for the year, or he's injured right now. But yeah, Bryce McGowan's true freshman. He's their leader, 15.7 points. Alonzo Verge Jr., transfer from Arizona State. He also averages 14.3 points. But other than that, no names that I know. What were you going to say?
I was just looking at their schedule. Their wins this season have been against Sam Houston State, Idaho State, Southern, whatever that is, Tennessee State, South Dakota, and Kennesaw State.
Mid-majors. They have not beat a high major opponent.
No, and they lost their very first game of the season to Western Illinois, the pride of the whatever conference that is anymore.
Summit. I think they're in the Summit.
Summit, yes. Who is 10-6 on the year. So
yeah,
good,
I think they're
for Western Illinois.
Yeah, they're actually having a decent year, but still, no Big Ten team should ever lose to a Summit League school. So yeah, that is Tuesday. I don't think we need to talk too much about it. It's a game Illinois will probably be favored by 17, 18 points, maybe more.
3 touchdowns.
They should win it comfortably. So won't spend too much time. But then we get to Friday, and Logan's touched on it a couple times. That's the matchup with Michigan. 9:00 Eastern, Friday night on FS1. Is that at home? That's at home. That is in Champaign.
Yeah.
But as Logan said, right now, Michigan is conveniently on COVID pause. They went on COVID pause Saturday night. I saw one tweet he was replying to some national reporter that was talking about how exciting of a game it was Saturday because Michigan needed it so bad, and Michigan State is undefeated in the Big Ten. And someone with like 200 followers replied and said, yeah, but the game's canceled because of COVID. And then Saturday morning, I woke up to a tweet that the game was canceled because of COVID. So Michigan goes on pause right before they face Michigan State, Purdue, and Illinois in that order. Yep. Conveniently. Was it last year? Didn't they go on pause right before the Illinois game? And then the makeup game, Illinois beat them by 25 without Ayo DeSumo. And then last year, their football team went on pause right before the Ohio State football game. So again, it's probably true. I'm sure they do have a number of players with COVID just because that's the day and age we're living in right now. But it's just very, very convenient that right before the toughest stretch of your schedule, when you're 7-6 on the year, looking at 7-9 straight in the face, that you're like, all right, let's take a step back and just not play these 3 games.
Yeah, it's a little too perfectly timed for them. No, I don't believe there's any sort of conspiracy here. But it is a little too convenient for them to be in this situation. So they already lost the Michigan State game. They'll have to be postponed. The Purdue game has already been postponed. As of right now, the Illinois game for Friday is still scheduled, but we'll have to see what happens there.
With the new guidelines, that's more than a week.
It is.
I mean, I don't think Illinois will get postponed. I think it's just these 2.
I don't think it will either, but until we get there, it's hard to really know anymore. So
Yep. Yeah, it's and like we said, it's a Michigan team that's struggling. 7-6 on the year, 1-2 in the Big Ten. So, and I haven't watched a ton of them. I watched them early in the year against Wichita State, maybe? No, Arizona. I watched them play Arizona, and Arizona took it to them really, really good. But we know how good Arizona is now, seeing them at the State Farm Center. So I'm not sure what it is. Just something's not clicking there. But
they don't have a lot of terrible losses until you get to the Big Ten schedule. I mean, yes, they started the season with 3 losses fairly early, but they were to Seton Hall, who was actually pretty good this season, Arizona, who's pretty good this season, and North Carolina, which nobody in the ACC is really particularly good this year other than Duke. But again, I mean, it's North Carolina. Granted, they lost those games by 2 points and then 18 points and then 21 points. But I don't know. Michigan's still kind of a conundrum to me. I think to a lot of people, I think they certainly have the talent to be a top 4 or 5 team, at least in the Big Ten. Haven't really shown that yet. So we'll have to see what happens with them. Because as you said, I do think we will see this game played on Friday night, but who knows?
I think the losses are getting to their heads too, because I don't know if you saw the handshake line after their loss at Rutgers. Wait,
I don't know if I did
Rutgers?
or not.
Hold on. Who did they just lose to not too long ago? Yeah, it had to have been Rutgers. They were leaving the court. And I think it was one of the freshmen. I think it was Musa Diabate that was like into it, and they had to be separated. Juwan Howard was like pushing his team back, and Diabate, I think that's who it was like screaming at the fans as he was walking out. So things aren't going good there right now. But it is interesting to me that they've already postponed Tuesday's game. Right?
Yeah. Well, when they went on pause Saturday
morning is when it was announced. Yeah.
So, I mean, they got to go the 5 days.
I guess that's true.
I mean, I don't know when these numbers started to file in, but
yeah,
yeah,
that's
Tuesday.
True.
Tuesday's still within the 5 days. So that, obviously
good point.
Friday night wouldn't be, but Tuesday would be.
Yeah. So after that, we're not exactly sure when we're going to record our next episode. Like we said, we're not sure if we're going to be available Monday, which is when Illinois plays their next game. So we're going to talk about that a little bit in case we don't record until after. It is Purdue at home. So a massive, massive game, probably the biggest game of the season so far, is Tuesday at home. It's a noon Eastern time tip because it is Martin Luther King Day, and most of the country has the day off. And if you don't, you should. You need to talk to your boss about that. But it is Illinois and Purdue. Purdue is 13-2 right now. They lost last week, I think, as we were recording. After we recorded, right?
Who is this?
Purdue was on after we got done recording last week.
Yeah.
And Wisconsin went on to beat Purdue by 5 in West Lafayette to hand them their second loss of the year, second Big Ten loss of the year as well. And then Purdue held on to beat Penn State Saturday night by 7 in Happy Valley. So Purdue is a bit of a conundrum because they have so much talent. They had Zach Edey in the middle, 7'3" or 7'4". Trevion Williams coming off the bench, who is as good of a starter as anybody in the league. Jaden Ivey, kind of a wing slasher, really good player. So Purdue has all the talent. They're ranked number 3 in the country, but they're 2-2 in the Big Ten already, 13-2 overall. Illinois and Purdue Monday afternoon. That's an interesting dynamic because we rarely see afternoon basketball games ever. If they are, it's on the weekend, Saturday or Sunday. But a Monday is a little bit different because your body's in a routine like, hey, I should be in class right now. Monday at noon, I'm supposed to be sitting in class, not giving my 100% on the basketball court. So that's going to be a different dynamic for both teams, I think, especially Purdue being on the road.
Yeah, it's not something we see very often. It's kind of cool that they're doing it. But yeah, from the player standpoint, it's going to be hard to kind of get yourself into that, mode maybe, but those guys are there to play. I mean, they'll be out there. They'll be fine. I wouldn't be necessarily concerned about that, but it is at least something to keep in mind. I'm looking forward to it. I think that's going to be a cool little atmosphere, cool little setup, and one heck of a marquee basketball game.
Hope so. I hope so. We keep talking about Illinois should be ranked, going to be ranked. I'm not sure if they're going to, because not many teams in that 20 to 25 ranking range lost. Did you look at that?
Yeah, and I've been thinking about this. This is what I've been trying to look up for the last few minutes, and I haven't found it yet. I'm very high on Illinois right now, as obviously as an Illinois fan. And I think it's still early to decide a lot of these things, but does Illinois have a signature win? At Iowa is probably the best we have, and it's a good Iowa team, but they're not as good as they have been.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know that they do. Not that I think that they should be. I think they are a top 25 team. I think they played like it, but let's not fool ourselves here. I mean, these wins that we're talking about have been against not very good teams.
Very true.
So yes, the win at Iowa is big. But they lost both of those games early, and they lost. Arizona would have been a huge win. Couldn't pull that one off.
Yep.
And I think that might go into the Kofi discussion too. There's been a lot of discourse on social media the last, week or so about player of the year discussions and whether or not Kofi Coburn belongs in those discussions. And I think we each have our own opinions on those. But I do think there might be something to this, that Illinois schedule really hasn't, they haven't done anything of note to really put them into that conversation. Now there's still a lot to happen. We've just talked about Michigan, Iowa, or Michigan, Purdue. These games are coming up. They're going to have a chance to, prove themselves. But to this point in the season, they don't really have a lot of marquee victories to really say that this is a clear-cut favorite team. And if you're not that good of a team, then is your best player really in those conversations? So I think it's food for thought. I do think they get into the top 25. I think they've been close, and they did win 2 more games. So I do think they will get enough votes to slide into it on when they come out with the new poll on Monday or Tuesday, whenever it is. But you're right. I don't know that it's necessarily a guarantee as much as I think it should be. Yeah. I don't think it is.
Yeah, that's a good point with the schedule. I hadn't really thought of that the Illinois hasn't really played. Oh my God, excuse me. Hasn't really played the toughest of non-conference, which I kind of think we saw coming, because I remember specifically we said that we could very easily see this team going undefeated in the non-conference, which means it's not a very good non-conference schedule.
You're right, and it's not. But the biggest games of the non-conference schedule they lost. So that's the other thing too.
One they didn't get to because we assumed that they would get to play Arkansas, who was a top 10 or top 15 team, and they didn't get that. Too. Yeah. So they lost to Cincinnati, and then they got Kansas State instead of Arkansas, which really drops your non-conference strength of schedule down.
Yep. True.
All right. So that's what we've got coming up with Illini basketball. Also, I said that Purdue game is on Monday. It is on Monday the 17th, not the 10th, which I think this episode will probably come out tonight, Sunday night. I'll get to work on it. So this game is not tomorrow, Purdue. That game is on the 17th, next Monday. Anything else basketball related? I did not put a schedule on like I did last week for the upcoming week, so I don't know the big slate that's coming up. I don't know that anything else big happened. Duke lost to Miami. Number 2 Duke lost to Miami. Baylor is still undefeated at number 1. I think Gonzaga is on pause right now, so they haven't played in a while. SIU picked up a win last night in Valpo. I don't know if you watched that.
Go Dogs.
I had that synced up with Mike Reese on the radio call. I can't think of anything else. So I didn't write anything down. So we will move on from there unless you got something. Sounded like
I'm trying to look up scores and our upcoming games, and I can't find any of them. I don't know why I'm having issues right now with
it's the time of year computer. Where it's conference play now. You're not going to find any big non-conferences. So.
Well, I know. I'm just saying I'm searching by top 25, and it's giving me a bunch of games that aren't top 25. So that just means there's no games tomorrow that are in the top 25. I guess is what that's telling
very
me.
Well could be the case. Yeah.
Tuesday.
No ranked
I guess
teams play tomorrow.
Ranked game on Tuesday with Baylor and Texas Tech, and Iowa State and Kansas. That's Tuesday night.
Kansas lost this week. Kansas lost to Texas
Tech.
Yeah.
Villanova and Xavier play on Wednesday. I'm trying to just look at any big marquee games that are of note. Ohio State and Wisconsin play on Thursday. And then we talked about Friday, Illinois, Minnesota, which currently neither of those teams are ranked, so they're not showing up here. So yeah, lot to look forward to.
Yeah, it's that time of year. Like I said, it's conference season now, so any night you're going to have some conference put their spotlight game. Except usually Friday nights are kind of slow, but take obviously this week, throw it out the window because Illinois
has a few Friday games this year, back to back.
Maybe that's changing. Then maybe they're starting to focus more on Fridays.
Michigan on the 14th and Maryland on the 21st.
Okay.
None in February.
All right. Alrighty. That's it for college basketball. So we are going to move on to college football now, and we are going to continue our Illini coverage here. I don't know that we had discussed it no, we hadn't, because the news broke on Tuesday during halftime of the Illinois-Minnesota basketball game. Jeremy Werner reported that Brett Bielema had fired or was going to fire Tony Petersen as offensive coordinator. That news was confirmed on Friday night, I believe. Yeah, late Friday night, like 8:00 Eastern time or 7:00 Eastern time Friday night. Bielema sent out a release that he had released Tony Petersen of his offensive coordinator duties. And then Saturday morning, they announced that they had hired UTSA offensive coordinator Barry Lunney Jr., to which I say, if you can't beat him, hire him.
Yeah, that's pretty much how it works. Yeah, we did talk about the Tony Petersen firing during a post-game show.
Yes, but not briefly, on a full episode.
But not on a full episode. Yeah. That one, I think it kind of caught both of us a little off guard, especially the timing of it, I think was the most intriguing thing. But when your offense was as abysmal as Illinois was this year, clearly Brett Bielema had other plans in mind. So he brought on somebody who beat him this year and he's coached with before and seems to have a good relationship with. So, I mean, if you know what you want to do, all the power to him. I'm fine with it. I know there have been some people that have been a little curious as to why it happened so quickly, only after one season with him, but especially when there wasn't really a competent quarterback. But he's trying to do something. He's trying to win games. So
to them, I say, go back and rewatch an Illinois football game and you will see why it happened, because there was no offensive flow.
I agree.
No offensive flow. I fully back the decision. I didn't love the hire from the get-go just because Tony Petersen had no real qualities that made me think he was a good Big Ten offensive coordinator. I know he spent some time in Minnesota. I think he had some decent teams there, but nothing jumped off the page to me like, okay, I like this guy. So yeah, Barry Lunney comes in. He spent the last 2 seasons as UTSA's offensive coordinator and associate head coach. Obviously, we know what they did this year at UTSA, one of the best group of 5 teams in the country. They beat Illinois 37-30 early in the season, won Conference USA, and then they lost the bowl game, I think. Yeah, lost to San Diego State in the bowl game. But they averaged 442.9 yards, 353 passing yards, 188 rushing yards, and almost 38 points per game. So just a powerful offense in Conference USA. It seems to be universally approved. I haven't seen really any complaints about the hire. Lunney started his coaching at Arkansas, where he also played. He played at Arkansas. He was a quarterback for Arkansas from 92 to 95. He was a GA there from 98 to 99. Then he bounced around some small schools. He even coached at a high school, Bentonville High School in Arkansas. For 8 years. And then a certain Brett Bielema, I believe, hired him from Bentonville High School to Arkansas as tight ends coach. then special teams, and then Bielema was already gone at this point. And then when Chad Morris was let go at Arkansas, he was Arkansas's interim head coach for a couple games. He did go 0-2, but he was interim head coach. And I listened to the UTSA insider, his conversation with Jeremy Werner, and he said that Lunney was actually a finalist for the Arkansas permanent job, but when he didn't get it, he said, "No, I'm not going to stay here at my current position if you're not going to give me the head coaching job." And so he went to UTSA. Like I said, everything I've seen has been positive. He's more of a spread offense, but also very run heavy out of that spread. But I don't know how to describe it. It's a run style offense, but based around today's game of, quarterback in the shotgun with the RPO and a bunch of different new age actions, not Brett Bielema's 12 formation, one running back, two tight end. Like it's going to be different. It's not going to be what we saw this year, which is what we need, because the offense this year it doesn't win in today's football.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it'll be a nice change of pace for sure. We've talked about it ad nauseum, how talented we think this running backs department is.
Yeah.
And so if you're able to get those guys in situations to succeed, then I think this team has really potential to be at minimum middle of the pack Big Ten, and kind of build from there. So I think it's a good hire. Obviously he's, very, very much offensive minded, has a lot of experience at a lot of different schools. The 8 years at a high school is interesting, I will admit. I did read a little bit on that. I do believe that was his dad's program for a long time.
Okay.
That he must have went back to basically help his dad or whatever. Maybe he just wanted to go back home. Whatever the case may be, he did spend eight seasons there. So that is interesting if you ask me. But yes, Craig.
Something just clicked with me. My uncle texted me yesterday after the hire and said, "Good hire for Bielema as OC. He needs to let him loose to open it up. Bielema is too tied to the run and defend approach." My uncle did go to U of I, so he's an Illinois fan, so I didn't think too much into it. But now that we're talking about it, this is my uncle that lived in Bentonville for like 15 years. So he's probably very familiar with him from Bentonville High School, but also from Arkansas. So that just clicked with me that this uncle lived in Bentonville for a number of years. So he probably knows all about this guy. Yeah.
No, I think the hire makes sense. So obviously somebody that Brett knew.
Shout out to Van, by the way. My uncle Van.
Shout out Van. Yeah, Brett knew him. Brett wants to work with him. He must have had his eye on him for a while, especially after UTSA came in and beat his team in Champaign. Yeah. I'm here for it. We'll have to see how it translates. But I think it makes some sense.
So we're talking about the running backs. And obviously Illinois has a stable back there they have to choose from. But UTSA's running back the last 2 years, Sincere McCormick. 2020, he had 249 rushes for 1,467 yards and 11 touchdowns. And this year he had 298 carries for 1,479 yards and 15 touchdowns. So 550 rushes for 3,000 yards and 26 touchdowns the last 2 seasons for their starting running back. Whew, that's not too bad. My question is,
I'll take it.
What kind of quarterback does he want? The guy he had this year, Frank Harris at UTSA, was a lefty, had some athleticism, but also threw it. He could sling it a little bit. And the insider for UTSA, I forgot what their website is. I forgot the website, or else I'd plug it. Sorry. He said that he likes pro style guys, which is good because that's what Illinois has kind of recruited to. And it sounds like DeVito, the transfer that Illinois already has committed, would be a good fit for this. So that kind of answered my biggest question was, does Lunney go out and get someone else in the portal that he thinks fits better than the guys they have now? So That's the big football news. You have anything else on Barry Lunney or Illini football?
No, I mean, I think that it's as I said, I think it's a good hire. It was a good move. It makes a lot of sense as to why it happened when it did. He obviously knew who he wanted to fill that spot. So just have to build off of it.
That's what I said Tuesday. I was like, it's a weird hire unless you have someone that you want. Yeah. All right. The big college football news this week, though, is all those unhappy SEC football fans having to drive north to Indianapolis to 20-degree weather and snow and ice to watch their football teams play for a national championship. That sound about right?
Yes, that's golden. That's golden. Yeah.
I mean, if Illinois was playing for a football national championship, I would drive to Juneau, Alaska. Well, I would probably fly. I wouldn't drive there, but like, come on now. But yes, the college football championship is tomorrow night, Monday, the 10th. No, I'm going to get this out tonight. I'm going to edit it and I'm going to get the show out Monday night.
Let's just start using dates. It's Monday night.
I try to do that because of my TV background. You're not supposed to date your story. I try to do that. But yes, the national championship, Monday night, the 10th, 8 o'clock kickoff. Does that sound right? 8 o'clock Eastern kickoff. In Indianapolis, it is Georgia. It is Alabama. We did talk about it a lot last week. So there's not too much left to dissect. But we are a little bit closer to kickoff here. The line is Georgia -2.5, so hasn't really moved a whole lot. -2.5, over under 52. So yeah, I think it's gonna be a great game. I honestly do. I don't really have much else to add other than I'm tired of watching Alabama, so I really hope they lose. But did you have any thought of trying to go down and like experience just the atmosphere of it? Because there's no way we could afford to go to the game.
No, and I was texting with a friend up here, somebody I used to work with, might be listening to this, Nick Brown, shout out. And he's a Georgia fan, so I was asking him if he was going to be making the drive down, and he's like, tickets are just so expensive. He said they have gone down a little bit, but
I'll look right now.
They have gone down a little bit, but no, I personally, I'm not planning on going down there. It would be kind of cool though to experience it, but it is a little cold, and I know I'm sure I would be inside a lot, but I like that they're doing this. They're branching out from the. Go on, you have a thought, or you have tickets that are. You're going now?
I mean, I'm not going to pay this, but when I looked a week ago, the cheapest ticket was $1,200, and now it's $360.
Yep, that's what Nick and I were talking about yesterday. So it's certainly doable for Georgia and Alabama fans that want to get there from.
It's all those people that don't want to go to the cold weather. It's an indoor stadium.
You should go.
That's what you should. I know this is completely off subject, but I was talking to some of Christy's family about the Bears potentially getting a new stadium in Arlington. And I said, it's going to happen because they're going to build a really nice Rams-like stadium. They're going to get Super Bowls and all that. And he was like, the NFL is not going to put a Super Bowl in Chicago. They said after they did it in Minneapolis, they're never going to do a cold city again because they'd lose out on so much revenue from stuff that they could put outdoors, like the outdoor entertainment areas. They lose out on that revenue if it's in Chicago or Minneapolis. Whereas if they do it in Tampa or Miami or LA, they can have outdoor complexes and stuff. So that's a good point. So it's a fair point, but yeah.
I mean, I think there's certainly something to that. I do like that they're moving it, sharing it, with some of the cities that aren't necessarily bowl cities, because usually these bowl games are in, much warmer climates and everything. So Lucas Oil's a great facility. It's a great stadium for a football game. It's housed plenty of major college football games in the past, Big Ten championships and everything else. So it's very cool that it's going to be a
great sports town too.
It's an excellent sports town. So happy for anybody that is there. We're going to be there for this. Have a lot of fun, be safe, and whoever you root for, go insert team here. Georgia. Or roll insert team here.
No.
Go Dogs. Is this a Go Dogs podcast? Okay. Go Dogs.
Are you sticking with your Alabama pick? We picked the game last week for our picks of the week that Logan has already won the season standings, but are you sticking with Alabama?
Yes.
Yeah.
Rooting for Georgia, picking Alabama.
Yeah, that's probably smart. It's hard to pick against Saban, but sooner or later it's gonna happen.
No.
Sooner or later.
Yeah.
So
I agree.
I think Georgia's offense is the key though. If they can do what they did to Michigan, I don't know that they can stop them because their defense, I don't think Alabama does to Georgia again what they did in the SEC championship. I don't think Georgia lets that happen.
No, I don't either.
Georgia's defense is going to come to play, so Alabama's defense has to come to play. So that's what it's going to come down to. I got Georgia. Logan's got Alabama. It is Monday, January 10th, 8 o'clock Eastern on ESPN. Is it also on ABC? Is it a dual?
No, they're doing something on just about every station, but not ABC, which I don't get. I don't get why they're not putting these on ABC.
I watched I think they called it the Command Center for the semifinals, where they had the TV broadcast on the upper right, kind of in a big box, and then next to it they had the Sky Cam, which is behind, so it felt like you were playing Madden, and then below they had the ISO shot on each head coach, and then they had the stats constantly on the screen. I watched that for the Rose Bowl, and I thought it was cool because you could see the coaches like interacting with the sidelines, and then I like the Madden view of it as well sometimes. So I tuned into that. But yeah, you're right. They're going to have like 10 different channels. One of them is going to be the Alabama home radio broadcast. One's the Georgia home radio broadcast. Like it's crazy what all they're doing.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm excited. I'll watch it. But like you said, it's kind of lost its luster because it is Alabama again. One other college athletics note: we got a new member of the Valley, baby.
Yeah,
Murray State is officially joining the Missouri Valley Conference for basketball right now, starting
for
in
all
July.
Sports, not football. Correct.
Yeah. Sorry, I didn't word that right. For all sports, not football right now, because the Missouri Valley Football Conference is, while related, I heard someone describe it. The Missouri Valley Football Conference and the Missouri Valley Conference aren't really brother sister. They're like cousins. So they're a little separated. They're different families, but they're also the same family. If that makes sense.
Some of them are the same family.
Yes. So Murray State is joining July of 2022 this year. This is their last year in the OVC. Is that the same as Belmont? Is Belmont also joining July of this year? I believe so too. So that makes 11 for the Valley. If only Loyola hadn't bolted for the Atlantic 10, we'd have a perfect 12-team conference. But the talk is that there is going to be a 12th member eventually, but they are still discussing with multiple other schools. I know probably 85-90% of our audience doesn't really care about the Valley, but me and Logan, the Valley runs deep with us. We are huge Valley fans. We love mid-major basketball. We love FCS football. So this has us excited, especially Logan, because conference realignment is his favorite.
I love conference realignment.
As much as he loves conference realignment, he hates college football playoff system that much as well. Like it's like a give and take for him. So we're gonna fanboy over this a little bit. It's something that we talked about and we've talked offline about for years. This relationship was too perfect for it not to happen.
Yeah, I agree. I know that for a long time, the word was that Southern didn't really want this to happen.
Yeah.
Just geographically speaking, they're very close to one another, which, you know, Southern, a lot of good chunk of the students that Southern's trying to pull are the same students that Murray State's trying to pull. So, you know, they're looking at it from an enrollment standpoint. Yes, Craig included. They're looking at it certainly from an enrollment standpoint. So that was one of their biggest issues with it a few years ago when this was on the table the first time. You know, geographically speaking, I think it's huge for the Valley. I mean, it's huge for Southern. I mean, that's the school obviously both of us went to, but now they've always been relatively close to some of these, but now you got two more schools in Murray State and Belmont that are within a 2 to 3 hour drive, which is going to be nice for, a lot of the sports, not just for basketball. I think it's a great addition. I think it fits perfectly within the footprint of what they're trying to do. I know there's been the hesitation because they're trying to add bigger markets. They're trying to branch out from their markets that they're currently in, and Murray State doesn't really fit that. It's in a very small town that's not outside of their reach at all. But it is a basketball powerhouse in terms of that level. It is a basketball traditional school. They got a good baseball program. Right now they have a pretty good women's basketball team. I think that makes
with an Oakwood star.
Yes, with Caitlin Young, absolutely. Which, as I mentioned on Twitter the other day, it could be great for her friends and family, because those trips down to OVC schools outside of Eastern, which was obviously close, but as opposed to driving to Tennessee States and going all the way out to Moorhead and all these schools, now they're Indiana State, Illinois State, Bradley, Southern, Evansville, Valparaiso, potentially UIC. Like, these are all really close for her family. But yeah, I mean, I just think it makes all the sense in the world. I do think the next move will be Illinois Chicago, to continue to be in the Chicago market. I know they've also talked about Kansas City, and they've also talked about UT Arlington. But I think UIC makes the most sense to keep Chicago. I think that's obviously the biggest city in the Midwest. So, and it fits right there in your geographic reach. So I think that's something they need to do. So you get UIC, and I think it's a really strong mid-major 12-team conference.
Yeah, I tweeted it. I said, with the addition of Belmont and Murray State, who I feel like those two schools have gotten the OVC automatic bid probably each of the last 15 years. One of the two has won that conference. So you bring them into the Missouri Valley. This could be a conference that on the occasion gets 3 or 4 teams in, because I feel like there's always one MVC school that's in talks for an at-large bid, and then they don't win the conference tournament. So then there's that at-large potentially, and then there's that conference tournament winner. So with these two programs, it could turn into a conference that gets 3 or 4 bids once every 5, 6, 7 years. Now, it's not going to be consistently a 3 or 4 bid league, but it could happen on the rare occasion where a couple teams are really good, because Belmont and Murray State are great athletic program or basketball programs. Murray is a school that I was close to going to, so it's weird, not weird. It's just like a clash, worlds colliding for me. My dad did go to Murray. My dad is a Murray.
Really?
My dad is a Murray State grad, and I think one of his brothers also went there, who still lives down in that area.
How far is Murray from Pinckneyville?
It's probably 3 hours, because it's pretty far south of Paducah, and Paducah takes about an hour and a half to get to. But my dad is from like an hour south of Pinckneyville, is where he was from. So, so it was a shorter drive for him coming out of high school to go down there. So yeah, it's a school that my family is pretty close to. My dad and my uncle all attending there. So it's cool. I've texted with both of them about it, and they both said it should have happened a long time ago as well. So we're all really excited for that as well. Back when Belmont was added, me and Logan talked extensively on and off air again about who we wanted to see next. And he sent me a screenshot on Twitter of someone's tiers of who they wanted. Do you remember that?
Sort of, but I didn't.
I did my own, and I've kind of had it hidden for the next time that we had the conversation, but I didn't expect this to happen now. So my tier 1 was Murray State, Milwaukee, UIC, and UMKC. That was my tier 1. So I've got one of those, and it looks like I'll get the other one with UIC for my tier 1. My tier 2 was Logan's favorite, Grand Canyon. kind of jokingly, because I knew that's never going to happen, but I would love to see it. But my tier 2 was all of the other football conference schools that I think could fit. So North Dakota State, South Dakota State, Western, North Dakota, South Dakota, and Youngstown. It would just seem like an easy move to bring whichever basketball program you wanted, or whichever whole athletic department you wanted to bring to the Valley from whatever conference they're in.
Do you think North Dakota State's next move is up?
Yeah, I think someone's going to grab their football program.
And when that happens, does everybody go up? Does everybody go to that conference, or is it just football, do you think?
I think it probably depends on the conference. I don't know what the best fit for them is. Are they a Pac-12? Because they're not good enough to be a Pac-12 school. So are they they're not going to go to Conference USA. Maybe a Mountain West. Yeah, maybe a Mountain West.
That makes the most sense.
Then they would take all athletic programs, because I think that conference is full scope. But those were my top 2 tiers. I had tier 3 and 4, but they were like stupid schools that are very, very small that would never fit. So I want to hook my train. Is that the saying?
Yes. Roll with that.
I want to hitch my wagon. I want to hitch my wagon to Milwaukee. I like the UIC fit, but I also like Milwaukee. So if it's one of those two, I will be happy, but I don't know which one would be better.
I'm with you. I would almost prefer Milwaukee, but I don't think they can afford to lose Chicago.
Yeah.
I think the Valley knows how important that city is. From a competitive standpoint, would Milwaukee be better than UIC on probably most sports? Probably, yeah. But I think Chicago as a market is too important, especially when one of the schools you just added is Murray State, who, as great as great of a program as they are, you got to add somebody that's going to, bring in some people. And I think that's the whole purpose of this. So I love the Milwaukee idea, but I think if you're stopping at 12, if your next move is for number 12, I think it's got to be UIC. I think you have to stay in Chicago.
But okay, you add UIC, is the quarter of Chicago that you get with UIC, because you've got Northwestern, you've got DePaul, you've now got Loyola Chicago, who is would you call them a national name now? I would certainly think so. You have 3 national names already in Chicago. Does that percentage of Chicago that you get with small UIC, is that better or equal to a whole Milwaukee?
That's certainly a good question.
Does that argument make sense? Does that math make sense?
I think there's a lot more that goes to it. I don't think it's just a matter of how many UIC fans there are in Chicago. Yeah. I think you're talking about the TV market. I think you're talking about, putting up billboards across the city. I think it's more than just the number of people that are UIC fans and UIC alum. I think it is such a big city that I think just having a Valley school in the city means a lot more than just the number of fans. And
you've also probably got more alums of Valley schools combined in Chicago than you do in Milwaukee.
And you're trying to essentially, all 11 of these schools are ultimately trying to all 12 of these schools, or all in this case 11, because everybody outside of Chicago are trying to increase enrollment. That is ultimately what their job is. Yes, they want to be good on the basketball court, the football field, and they need money and all these things. But their goal as a university, and those are the people that are making these decisions, their goal is to increase enrollment. And when you have a school in the 3rd biggest city in the country in your footprint, no more than 6 hours, 7 hours away from any of your schools, I think that's more important than Milwaukee. Yes.
Yep.
Or Kansas City or Arlington. Kansas City makes sense geographically. Milwaukee makes sense geographically. Arlington really doesn't. No, I've never understood that. I don't get that move. I don't know. Again, trying to reach out. I think Chicago is just too important to not get that market at this point.
Totally agree. When Loyola left, that was the first thing I looked at is who in Chicago could the MVC get, and UIC is really the only one left. So
Chicago is no big. I mean, other than really LA, most big cities aren't really full of huge colleges that are known for this stuff. I mean, Chicago has Northwestern, which is a prestige institution in the Midwest, but it's not a sports powerhouse. DePaul has not been a sport powerhouse. Loyola has made a name for itself on the basketball floor. Yeah. But it's not full of, top institutions that every conference is going to be banging down the door to get.
What a rise for Loyola too, from Horizon. Were they Horizon before?
Yes.
Horizon to Atlantic 10 in a span of 5 or 6 years. That's crazy. It's a crazy
what glow up.
Crazy what can happen when you don't have a football program tied to your athletic department. All right. Anything else to do with the Valley or conference realignment? Anything?
No.
All right. It is week 18 of the NFL season. We're in the middle of week 18 games right now. The early 1:00 games have all went final. We're near the end of the first half of these 4:30 games. So Cowboys and Chiefs won on Saturday. Both safely in the playoffs there. The Bears end their season with a loss, 31-17 to the Vikings. And then the stunner of the day, all the Colts had to do was win, and they get a playoff spot. All they had to do was win. And who were they playing? The Jaguars. All you have to do is beat the Jaguars, and you're in the playoffs. 26-11. The Colts lose.
Yeah.
Yikes.
Yeah. Not good.
Yikes.
Not good.
So the Colts are out. The Steelers beat the Ravens in overtime. So the Steelers are still alive. The Ravens are out. What are the other games of implications? Washington and New York.
It's the night game tonight. It's the Chargers Raiders.
Yes. Chargers Raiders. So if the Chargers and Raiders tie, they both get in. Have you heard this scenario?
No.
If the Chargers and Raiders tie, they both get in. So if they take a knee on every single play,
would make sense. That would make sense because they're both 9-7.
They're both 9-7, and they would both be 9-7-1, which is also what the Steelers are, and they would both get in over the Steelers. So the Chargers and Raiders would be 6-7. So do the conference rivals form an alliance tonight and say, hey guys, we can both get in the playoffs if we just take a knee on every single play? Or do they play it out?
I'm going to go with no.
Yeah.
No chance. But it is interesting. But no, that's not how it's going to shake out.
Okay, so Bears, Vikings had no playoff implications. Football team Giants, no playoff implications. Lions did beat the Packers 37-30, but the Packers had already clinched the number 1 seed. Browns beat the Bengals by 5. Bengals get the 4 seed. Burrow and Mixon both sat that game out. The Titans beat the Texans by 3, so the Titans claim the number 1 seed in the AFC, meaning the Chiefs are the 2 seed. I think that's it. There are some seed implications playing out right now. Saints need a win. Niners need a win, but they're down by 10 against the Rams. So it's starting to shake out here. Most of the berths have been clinched. So we're heading into playoff time. Cowboys look pretty dang good last night, I'm just going to say.
See, you're wearing your Cowboy shirt today. Proud of that, huh?
Damn. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm getting my hopes up only to get them dashed in the first round to the Cardinals or the Rams.
All right.
Do you have a team? Do you claim the Bears?
No, I really don't. Bounced around as a kid, claimed the Vikings at a time, claimed the Bears, claimed the Colts. Obviously my brother bounced around teams for a while. So whatever I have a Bears shirt because of basically Cameron's time. But no, I honestly don't really have an NFL team, but I'm happy for you. I'm happy for you and your team.
Do you remember that time I went to Illinois State and interviewed your brother before the draft? I spent like all day at Illinois State with him.
Yes. And then we saw you at the Garth Brooks concert that night, or not the night that you interviewed him, but the night of the draft, the Thursday night. The draft.
Oh yeah.
We were at the concert Thursday night and we ran into you on the walk in.
Yeah.
And then obviously he didn't get drafted Thursday, Friday, and then he ended up signing on Saturday. So yeah, I do remember that. Yes.
I actually remember in the interview, he's like, well, I'm going to a Garth Brooks concert on the first night of the draft, so I hope I'm not a first round pick.
Yep.
He was like, I think I'm safe, but on the slim chance that I am, I'm not going to be able to hear anything on the phone call.
Be a cool story though.
It would have been a great story.
If a GM calls you, is that Garth Brooks? what are you doing?
Man, that'd be an all-timer.
Is he singing Colin Baton Rouge?
We were just talking because Garth's doing his concerts at football stadiums now. How awesome it would be to go to a Garth Brooks concert at LSU just for that one song.
Yeah.
Just for when he plays Colin Baton Rouge, it would be
cool.
Insanity. I've seen Garth like 6 times in concert, so I've seen it all by now.
I know. I've only seen him once. You are dedicated.
I can't think of anything else. Can't think of anything else sports related that we're not touching on.
I would love to talk about baseball, but
there's nothing to talk about.
There's nothing to talk about. I think we'll be lucky if there's spring training to talk about here in another month or two.
I touched on it briefly, the Ken Rosenthal thing.
Yeah, that was
last
weird.
week. The report was that he was fired because of his reporting on Rob Manfred, but then like a couple hours later, the verbiage changed to his contract was not renewed, which in TV business basically means you're fired, that we're not picking up your contract. So they changed the verbiage, but it does sound like part of it was due to his critiques of the MLB commissioner. Do you think, and I pose this as a question of the week for us, but there just has been no momentum, so we didn't go with it. Do you think that the lockout extends past the start of spring training, which is in a month, maybe about a month? Pitchers and catchers normally report.
Yeah, at this rate, I don't. I remember when this first started happening, we talked about it, and I said I wasn't too terribly concerned about it at the time, but check back with me again in January or February. At this point, I wouldn't be shocked if this stretches into at least the time the pitchers and catchers are supposed to be there. There's been no new information that they're coming to any sort of an agreement, so it wouldn't shock me at all. That sucks, and I hope that that's not what happens. But it looks like that's the direction we're headed.
Yeah,
do you agree?
I don't see any end in sight. Now we say this, and there could be a release 5 minutes from now. There could be a release 5 days from now. It's just one of those things that I feel like these don't get tipped off to reporters often. You know what I'm saying? I feel like it's just like, all right, here's the release that we've come to a deal. It's not like Jeff Passan reporting that the two sides are in a meeting right now. It's like one of those things that it's hard to break the news that the deal is coming. So it's just hard to tell when things could come to an end as far as the lockout goes. There was something else I was just gonna. PGA Tour started up this week, so be prepared for some golf talk towards the end of our shows.
Are we gonna do post game shows after every single PGA Championship, or just curious?
No.
Okay.
No, I would love to talk more golf, but I know that's not what people come here to listen to. They come here to listen to all our hot takes on.
Do they come here to listen to?
That's a good question.
Because I feel like we're totally all over the board.
So we are very.
Maybe if we circled in on something, we might learn a little bit more about what people want to hear. But
MVC realignment talk.
That's a thing. I love it. I'm here for that conversation. So
I believe we have been going on for about an hour and a half now, pretty I'm not
we
good at
have.
math, but pretty close. And we said that this was going to be a shorter show because we do post-game shows now, and it has not turned into that.
LOL.
So we just spent more time on other stuff. So Logan, do you have anything else? Do you have any movies or TV? We have that on the end of every rundown, and I don't think you saw
Well,
anything
the Golden
new,
Globes
did you?
are tonight, except they're not actually televised, so I haven't even given a shit about them.
Ooh. All right, I
Um,
got to put the explicit content on this episode.
Sorry. Just bleep over me. It'll be fine. No, I haven't even really paid much attention to that. I'm still a few movies away from to the point where I'm ready to call it a year. I did knock out 3 the past few days. One of them, which really enjoyed, Licorice Pizza, from director Paul Thomas Anderson, is just a really fun movie. But and then seen Spider-Man again. That was cool. So trying to get to the end. Hopefully at one point we're going to have an episode or some sort of thing. I'm going to do something devoted to the Logies. I'm going to actually utilize this medium that we have now to actually do something with it. But I'm not quite there yet. I still got a few more movies to see that I haven't had access to.
We have to wear tuxedos for that episode.
Okay, that's fair. What about tuxedo t-shirts?
No.
Oh. Okay. I'll go out and get a new tuxedo for it. But yeah, that'll be coming up soon at some point. I'm at 55 for the year. Hopefully I got about 5 to 10 more that I would like to get to in the next month or so. So we'll see if I can get to all those or not. But
can I ask you something about Licorice Pizza?
Yes. It's not about licorice or pizza.
That's my question. What's the title?
I believe the title kind of comes from I don't know. I've heard a couple different things. I guess it was potentially the name of like a record store or something in the San Fernando Valley, which is where this movie takes place. They don't actually mention it in the movie. It was originally supposed to be called Soggy Bottom, which was the name of a store that one of the main characters worked at or owned or something, was running. So I think it was supposed to be that, but no, the words licorice or pizza, neither one are said in the movie. So it's kind of interesting. Okay. I still don't really understand the title. It's a great movie. It's really fun, but I
saw the preview for it before No Time to Die.
Yeah, it's a good movie.
At first it had me intrigued, and then it lost me like halfway through the trailer, and I was like, all right, this is a different movie.
It's basically just a coming of age story.
Yeah.
It's about a 15-year-old boy and a 20-something-year-old girl who just kind of become friends and start to work together. And he's a young actor, but he also does a bunch of side hustles, and she just kind of starts to become friends with him and starts to work with him. And Bradley Cooper makes I'll be honest, a very short appearance in this movie. Sean Penn makes a very short appearance in this movie. They're great scenes, but they're not.
Is it based on a true story?
Sort of.
Loosely.
It's loosely based on Paul Thomas Anderson's life a little bit, and another successful Hollywood film producer, kind of based on his life a little bit too. Kind of various vignettes, sort of from their lives. So it's really good. I enjoyed it. It's definitely one of my best of the year. I gave it a 90.5. Also watched Being the Ricardos with Nicole Kidman and Javier Bardem. I enjoyed it. It had a lot of issues. I enjoyed that one. Gave it an 83. And The Power of the Dog, which is the Benedict Cumberbatch, Kirsten Dunst, Jesse Plemons movie. Didn't love that one as much. It's probably a favorite for Best Picture at the Oscars, but it wasn't really my favorite. But it has an 81 from me. So there you go. Logie's soon at some point, but I don't know when.
I've picked back up on 24.
Yeah? Where'd you leave off?
Season 7, I think, is what I'm on now. Halfway through season 7.
Okay.
Bill Buchanan.
Yep.
He just sacrificed himself.
Spoiler alert.
Well, it's been out for 15 years, so.
Yes. Good
so
point.
that's what I've been sporadically. I'm not into it like I was the first 4 seasons, but I'm trying to get to the end of that. So that's where we're at.
Okay.
Yellowstone, not caught up on that. That's really the only thing. we always talk about stuff we want to start and then we never do because it's hard for us to.
Yeah, we're not very good at
the
this.
same time. So, all right, that is episode 49. Abrupt ending. We'll see you tomorrow. No, I'm kidding.
Bye.
I should have said this at the top of the show, but for those of you that are still here, if you're on YouTube, please hit the like button. Hit that little thumbs up below us. If you're listening to us on Spotify or Apple, please rate us, preferably 5 stars if you would. That really helps us out and lets us know that people like what we are doing. So once again, follow us on our social medias. They are on our YouTube graphic. If you are watching, at No One Asked Us Pod, at Craig W. Choate, at the Logan Lee. Like, subscribe, share, listen, do all that good stuff. Let us know what you think and share it with your friends. Anything else, Logan?
No further questions, Your Honor.
All right. Hopefully we'll see you Tuesday night for a Illini post-game show. Hopefully again Friday night, and then
It'll be a late
once Friday will be a late one. Both nights this week will be late ones. And then once again next week for another full episode of No One Asked Us. This has been episode 49. Thanks for listening. We'll see you again soon.
Bye.